It's good morning, Michelle Huntington. Welcome to Yellow Shelf.
You, Joanna.
Thank you so much for being here. As you know, I kind of chased you to say, hey, will you come on and share about your new book, Lady MacGyver? Congratulations. The book is out for pre-order now, but will be out in a few weeks. Tell us all about it.
Well, and we were just discussing before we recorded this that you have interviewed my
Yeah,
partner, Guy Newman, for our podcast, Captain and the Clown.
yeah,
So, yes, thank you again for interviewing me.
yeah.
And look, the book, it's a collection of stories from my aviation career,
Mm,
and which you're in it, you just live it, and you think you just go to the next thing in your life. It's just a collection of what you do in your life. And it was Guy who actually convinced me to put them all down in a book. And he said, these are things that most people don't experience because they're not in aviation. And there's also a curiosity about what happens behind the flight deck door. And uh,
yeah.
because it's a bit of magic, people get on a plane and they trust and off they go to a holiday or whatever. And so yeah, it's a collection of those.
Yeah, and Michelle, I'm glad you mentioned you are a podcast host. That's how you're in my world because I listen to your podcast and I have interviewed your co-host Guy. And I'm excited by the book because it's a memoir, I guess, about your ambition and your journey, but it's also about courage in, like you mentioned, in an industry that is, you know, taboo in the sense we don't know a lot about, particularly as a woman.
Yeah, look, I'd love to say that times have changed and it doesn't matter. The aircraft doesn't know whether you're male or female, black, yellow, purple, green. But unfortunately, we all fly with humans, and not unfortunately, but it's the human aspect that sometimes puts a little bit of a negative tint on it, I suppose, an overlay, which majority of people are fine with it, and it's even a novelty initially, but it's when they're like the old school kind of can't move on.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I think everyone will know exactly what that comment's about, and in some ways it's so not good to hear, but the truth is it's your reality of your career and your journey. Tell us about the writing process. I was just laughing off camera about, what it's like to write for the first time and that process. Tell us all about that, Michelle.
Look, I'm the world's slowest typer, and touch type to me is just touching
Touchy.
with one finger. So and Guy kept sending me links on how to learn to do speed typing and things. So it got to the stage where, yeah, my typing and the story, it was just not flowing. So Guy offered to transcribe, which then realized that Word actually does it as well. So I just would sit out the front with a coffee with Guy every morning, and I would tell him stories, and he would record it on his phone, and then we'd put it in to Word, and yeah, so I'd get this story written for me, and it's like, oh, okay, and then polish it from there. But it's been
Yeah.
many, many, many edits because I am, as you can hear, I am verbose. I just blah, blah, blah. So Guy, thankfully, his qualification, he has journalism degree, and he was able to like, come on, just less is more.
Yeah. And it's good to share that because the journey, of writing is so different for everyone, and particularly as a first timer. And writing about yourself, is I guess at times cathartic and, exciting, but also, yeah, just hey, I've got to do this, I've got to deliver. Michelle, tell us about you now. I'm going to point people in the direction. You have a fabulous TEDx talk that people should go to. I'll put the link in the show notes. But tell us besides podcast hosting, what is your world like now?
Oh, now, so I've left the flight deck, and I now get to travel around the world, telling people my stories and running workshops, keynotes to corporates, to small groups, large groups about letting them in to the cockpit
Yeah.
and telling them a few stories, but also just the decision-making processes, communication, which was so important in aviation, and decision making and leadership is mainly what I talk about. So it's I meet amazing people. I learn something every time I meet someone new, meet a group of people. And even though my stories are about aviation,
Sure.
the being able to tell them in a way that people can apply their own maybe challenges, insights to that without it being confronting, like you must do this.
Yes.
It's being so well received. I love it.
Yeah. Well, very exciting times. Michelle, tell us if we're watching, no matter where we are in the world, tell us how do we connect with you? I follow you on Instagram and on LinkedIn, but you also have a website. So tell us where do we go to get curious about you, Michelle, and the book?
Okay, so like you said, LinkedIn, Instagram, not that great at social media, so I promise I will improve on that. But also my website, michellehuntington.com. And yeah, just connect with me. I'd love to speak with people. And I love even the Zoom. I know in person is so much better,
Yeah.
but around the world, a Zoom, I'm up for a late night coffee or tea or an early morning, whatever time zone you're on. I just, yeah, love meeting new people.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Michelle, enjoy this. What is a fabulous time ahead? Book launch, probably lots of much longer interviews than Yellow Shelf, and you can deep dive into chapters and more info. But, I highly recommend, I'm going to put information in the show notes around even that TEDx, because that's fabulous, and just links to the podcast as well. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us at Yellow Shelf.
Thank you, Joanna. Ta.
Cheers.